And now, HamRadioConcepts presents another exciting amateur radio video, keeping ham radio operators informed with a thorough look at the new products. Now, here's your host, Eric, KJ4YZI.
Hey YouTube, this is Eric with HamRadioConcepts. I have a video here. This is a TYT dual band handheld. It's the UV8000E, okay? And the big plus on this is higher power. Now, the box does say ultra high output power, 10 watts. Now, the manual and online, of course, rates it up to 10 watts, which is more accurate because it may be lower in power on certain parts of the frequencies, but we'll go through and put it on the power meter and just see what we're getting. But this comes from radioddity.com. Link is in the description, RADIODDITY.com. They're really doing a good job on customer service. I mean, with all the handhelds and radios out there, Radioddity is real fast shipping. The customer service is excellent. I really like that store. They have a lot of stuff there. But you remember in the previous videos, I've done Bofeng and Ushan. Remember the UV5R was a big thing, and now that's kind of went to the past. So with the UV8000E, it is dual band, 136 to 174 and 400 to 520 megahertz, with all the functions that you need, like standard radios, tones and offsets and all that stuff. It does have 128 channels for memory. It does have an FM broadcast receive, so you can listen to radio. I do like that it has a 3600 milliamp battery. Remember when the UV5R and the UV82 came out, they had a 1800 milliamp an hour battery, and then you had to buy the great big 3600 milliamp. This one comes with it, and it's not so big. It's bigger, wider, thicker than it is longer, so it's not totally obstructive with this long battery on there. And it's double the power, so with the increased output, double the capacity rather of the battery will give you longer run times. And it does, one good thing that this does have is cross-band repeat. I'll check that out in the video too. So you can cross-band VHF through UHF from another radio. You can use this as a cross-band repeater at public events or ham fests or anything. We'll check that out. This does come with the programming cable and software, which should be the same programming cable that you have with a Bofeng, but the software may be different, and that's available on the Radioddity website as well for the software. The vehicle charger, which for charging it on the go, and two antennas, one standard antenna and one extended length antenna for added range, because some people say the stock antenna is not good enough, so this may give you a little more range. So let's get into real quick into the box. I won't take too long because a lot of my viewers say, well, kind of skip the unboxing. Okay. The charging or the programming software and cable, right? The car charger, and again, like the other car chargers, this one doesn't go into the radio, it goes into the charging base. So you have to have the charging base with you if you're charging it on the go. The charging base will accept the same wall wart that you're using for Bofeng and Ushan radios with the DC barrel jack on the back, so the same charging cord fits into that. Your manual, color manual, has a lot of info in here that you want to read, shows you the different functions. Again, if you're familiar with these radios, it will make sense. Just a couple things may be different. Instructions for the crossband repeater function, so I'll show you that in a minute. And of course, the two antennas, one shorter antenna, one longer antenna, the battery and the radio. Let's get right to the radio. Alright, so the battery here, this is again a 3600 milliamp hour battery, and it's about the same size, a little bit bigger than the standard 1800 milliamp battery, so it's not a great big extended battery. Slides on the bottom, just like any other radio. You see upgraded version with crossband repeater function. Alright, and for size comparison, for instance, my TYT DMR handheld, if you look at them side by side, it's about the same thickness, maybe a tad bit thicker. Lengthwise, TYT is a little bit taller than that. If you look at something like a Bofeng GT3, you can see it's not a gigantic handheld. It's between a GT3 and a DMR 380 or 390. Looking at the thickness here, because a lot of people don't want a really big hefty radio, so that's not, it's just a tad bit bigger. When I hold it in my hand, It is a little bit more solid. It is a little heavier than those. I'm going to say it's the same weight as a DMR TYT handheld. So it's just not uncomfortable, very rounded. Okay. Looking at the side of the radio, your speaker mic or programming cable port on the side, the same thing as Bofeng, TYT, Ushan. On the left, your PTT button, monitor button, and a programmable button here that you can set in programming for different things. All right. SMA connector on the top. This is a female SMA on the top. Channel selector and volume. So looking at the radio itself, it looks familiar with the buttons. You have your function button, your UHF, VHF, and stuff. If I turn it on,
power on.
It's got a voice that's a little bit different than the UV5R and stuff. You can turn the voice off. It strikingly remarkable or resembles a UV5R screen. So I think they put the same screen in there. All right, and some of the same functions as you're used to. You know, UHF, VHF will switch you from VFO-A to VFO-B. Direct entry.
14700.
Okay, you can direct entry your frequency in there, or you can go to
2
frequency mode or channel mode. This is channel 2,
1,
channel 3.
2 1.
There's only two memories programmed in here. All right, but the menu, the function button,
function,
and it reads off each menu item.
Scan, transmit, priority, Vox, power, squelch, mode, set, light, set.
Okay, so it'll read you off that. You can turn it off if you want, but it's a little bit handy, I guess, if you're a little bit visually impaired and you're in the dark and you're trying to get to the
mode,
squelch setting. You can tell, or what you can do,
enter, escape.
You can just hit function, and then like number 5 says squelch, so you can hit
function, squelch.
There you go, you're right in the squelch. So the UV5Rs and all that had the same quick functions. If you want to go to Vox, you can hit
enter.
You can hit function
Vox
3
level
and go right to Vox. You know, so all that's similar. So what I'll do is let's take a look at the programming. First, we'll do a power test. We'll see what kind of power we're getting. And also, we'll do a demonstration of crossband repeat. What I like about crossband repeat, okay, a lot of the guys I talk to on Simplex on VHF, what they do is they have like a Kenwood Mobile, like I used to have a 733, and set it for crossband. Now I can sit on my couch at a 0.5 watt, transmit into this on UHF on a simplex frequency, and this would retransmit out to a VHF frequency, so I can sit in my, you know, if I need a 50 watt radio or mobile, you know, 50 watt base unit in my shack, and I don't want to sit in the radio shack the whole time, I can, you know, keep this in my living room with the radio by me and converse and use this as crossbanding connected to my vertical antenna outside. Then I could use another GT3 or something on very low power to transmit into this on UHF and retransmit to VHF. And that way I don't have to sit in the radio room, you know, if I want to just listen to the guys or talk to a distant repeater that I can't hit with just the radio with the rubber duck on there. So let's check out the power first. So let's see what we actually get in the center of the VHF 2-meter band.
6 0 0 0.
Let's see. 8 watts. Roughly 8 watts. Now, I don't have a dummy load, again, because somebody had borrowed it and never brought it back. So I'm using my MFJ894 with a dual band antenna outside, which has a varying, fluctuating SWR issue I need to fix. But looking at VHF center of the band, we're looking at about 8 watts. All right, would I get a better result with a dummy load? Maybe. We'll go to the upper end of the band.
4 7 9 9 5.
Upper end. 9 watts. Almost 9 watts. 8.5, maybe almost 9 watts. Almost 10 watts, excuse me. 9.5 watts at the top end of the band. And if I go to the lower end of the FM portion,
5 0 0 0.
we're looking at just a fraction over 7. All right. So
1 4 6 5 0 0.
roughly call it an 8-watt handheld. And on UHF,
4, 4, 6, 1, 5, 0.
just over 6 watts.
4, 4, 7, 5, 0, 0.
Just under 6 watts.
4, 4, 6, 5, 0, 0.
Just over 6 watts. So usually a UV5R would say 4 watts on VHF, 3 watts on UHF. So essentially you're doubling your power, 8 watts on VHF, 6 watts on UHF. Doubling your power, 3 dB increase equals half an S unit increase, and 6 dB is 1 whole S unit. So you need to double your power to make any noticeable increase. 4 watts to 5 watts is not much noticeable at all, but 4 watts to 8 watts and 3 watts to 6 watts, definitely an improvement with the addition again of the crossband repeat. So we'll call it an 8-watt handheld, and this will transmit in marine, in business band, and FRS. So I'm sure that there's a spot where it can hit 10 watts, maybe upwards of business band. If you're using it for commercial, like the 150, 156, 154 range, you have a substantial increase over something like a Motorola 2-watt radio, you know. But for the 144 to 148, up to 8 watts gives us about 8.5, 9. 9.5 toward the 147.995 upper portion of the FM VHF band. Let's check out the crossband repeat. Before I show you the crossband repeater function, I want to show you one important thing. If you can't get the CD running for the software and drivers, a lot of people always ask in my videos, where do I find the software? On the Radioddity website in the downloads section, every bit of downloads for Bofeng's, Ushan, all the manuals and programming software, so it's all here. You'll look under TYT and you'll look for the UV8000E program software. Once you download this and install it, you'll have an icon like this. You'll use this to program it, but this is Windows 10 64-bit. It does work. However, you may have an issue if you go into the control panel, or if the programming software won't find your radio. In the control panel, Device Manager, System, Device Manager, you'll see the ports for your cables. You'll see here prolific USB to serial COM port 5. Now, Windows 10 had automatically installed the Windows version, which did not work. It had the little yellow triangle. So, one of the most popular problems people have is this. And what you do is, I like to go to the Miclor website. If you just Google Miclor, you'll see the website here. And there are drivers for prolific. And the one that always works is the Vista driver. And right here, 3.2.2.0, depending on 32-bit or 64-bit. Vista driver is what you want for Windows 10. It's always compatible. Once you download that in your control panel, you can right-click on your serial port here that's giving you an error. Go to Update Driver Software. Browse My Computer. Don't let it automatically search. Browse the computer, pick from a list of devices, and you'll see 2 of them now. Here's the one that Windows installed for 2015, but you want to replace it with the 3.2 version. Once you do that, your driver will come up, successful COM port 5. You can go ahead and open your software and go to Setup, and you want to choose your communication port. You want it to be on the one that corresponds in Control Panel. This is COM 5 in my case. Yours may be different. And then with the radio on and plugged in, you can go to Program and hit Read from Radio. That takes about a minute to read, even though there's really nothing on here yet. I haven't programmed it. But what I want to show you is just how this software is laid out, and also how to enable the crossband function. You have to enable it in programming software, and then you can toggle it in the menu number 11 on the radio. But the programming software is basically laid out the same. Not too different, and I'm not sure if it works with Chirp. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. A lot of people prefer Chirp. I just use the software that comes with it because it seems to always work. I don't need to have the same programming software for every different make and model of the radio, so I use the one that's built for the radio itself. Once this loads, 100% complete, and this is the only things that the factory had put on here. So
to show you very basically, receive frequency for a demo 146.640. 146.640. The transmit would be 600 negative, so 146.040. Your decode and encode, if you need it, usually you'll only need the encode PL. But if you have a Fusion repeater and you're not wanting to hear the digital traffic on Fusion, which is a whole other topic, you can do decode 107.2 or whatever your PL is. High or low power, wide or narrow, busy channel lockout when scanning, your Vox settings, all this. Mostly you'll just need the receive, transmit, and tone, and you should be good to go. And then I'll do 146.550, the same, because that's a simplex frequency, no tone, and we'll set those two. Now, in the optional function right here, you double click this, it gives you a couple other functions. You know, when you turn the radio on, it shows you the DC voltage, or it'll just show you a message you want to program. We'll just leave it DC voltage. We'll call the radio KJ4YZI. I'll leave most of this here, but the crossband function right here, you turn that to on. And when you turn that on, that will enable you to set the crossband, you know, the frequencies on the radio, then turn crossband on or off. And other functions here, you know, if you want to name the channel, you can name it here, W4PHJ, and we'll call this one down here Simplex. All right. And when you're done, click on Program and go to Write to Radio. Now it takes a good minute to write it. Once you do that, everything will be stored in the radio. So let's skip this and go to the crossband.
KF4 PFI from KJ4YZI crossband.
Okay, very good. KJ4YZI, KF4 PFI. Sounds good, Eric. No problems here on so far. Maybe just a slight bit of a squelch tail, but just very slight, nothing to complain about.
Alright, so there's a little bit of a delay squelch tail. Let me, for the YouTube videos, watchers on this video, what I'm doing is I'm talking to John. In my hand I have a GT3 4-watt Bowphone in my living room, and I have the TYT UV8000 on the desk in crossband mode. So I'm talking to you, John, with half a watt on this UV or GT3 going in on UHF, coming out on VHF on 14655. And how far away are you, John, from me? Go ahead.
I'm about 18 miles away from you in Palm Bay, and signal strength is good. I got you at about a F9, I would say, on the signal strength, and audio is good. Like I said, the only thing that I could tell was that you have a slight bit of extra squelch tail, but other than that, everything sounds good.
Very good. John up there, those guys up there north, they like to do crossband all the time so they can sit on the couch when the race is going on and don't have to sit in the radio room with the microphone in their hand. So crossbanding is a very cool thing. There's only a couple handhelds that I know of that have crossband, and so this is one of them. And with the, I think right now it should be putting out about 8 watts. So 8 watts into my vertical outside, 30 feet in the air, and I'm sitting on my couch on minimal power and talking about 18 plus or minus miles away. John, I thank you. I know I always call for you for testing on videos, but it's a good simplex shot up there towards your neck of the woods, and I appreciate the time out to test of me. KF4 PFI from KJ4YZI.
Okay, very good, Eric. Well, 73s, and anytime I can help, I'm always willing and able to. So with that, we'll say 73s, and good luck with the video. KJ4YZI, KF4PFI, we'll be clear.
So there was a good demo of crossband. Again, I was in the other room, all right, and I was using my GT3 on low power, transmitting on UHF And you'll have to make sure you know the appropriate frequencies so that when you're crossbanding, you're not transmitting in or out on a repeater frequency or input frequency. So I was transmitting with this in my living room into the TYT on 447, which was retransmitting on 146 to Palm Bay, about 18 miles from me. And then when John would transmit on 55, it would come in here on VHF, and this radio would rebroadcast on 447 to me in the living room. So a great solution to crossband. A lot of people are doing it. It's really convenient. The radio overall, I'm happy with it. The audio sounds great. Speaker audio is very loud. The audio quality of it. And in the future, I want to do a real big comparison in the neighborhood down the road a few miles and put all these to the test, because I have a lot of handhelds here that I want to compare with one another and see which one holds up against the element. So thanks for watching. Check out my other videos, and guys, I'm just making these videos for the people that are interested in your next purchase. When you're interested in something, where do you go to check it out? On YouTube. And hopefully you came here to Ham Radio Concepts. Give me a like, a thumbs up, a subscribe to my channel. Plenty more videos coming. Check us out on Facebook. Like my page, facebook.com/HamRadioConcepts. And 73 from KJ4YZI.